Hello, parents and students. My name is Ross Gagan, and I am the faculty leader for Performing Arts here at Cotton. And in this video, I will go through the BTEC Tech Award in Performing Arts Acting Pathway. So hopefully, as you know, Performing Arts become option subjects at Key Stage 4, and the BTEC Tech Award Acting Pathway is our drama option available to the students. So it's a 3-unit exam. Component 1, obviously where we start, is exploring the performing arts, and this is an internally assessed unit made up of practical workshops and a written portfolio, where the students learn about established theatre practitioners and the plays that those practitioners have created. This internal unit is worth 30% of the student's final grade. This is followed by component 2, where we develop those skills and techniques on further that we've explored in component 1. Once again, it's internally assessed, and it's made up of a performance of pre-existing text that the students have chosen and is kind of based from their component 1 study. And this is also worth 30% of the student's final grade. The exam unit is component 3. This is performing to a brief. It's the externally assessed unit, and it's made up of a devised group performance on a theme given to the students by the exam board, and they also produce a logbook to support this, and that's worth 40% of the final exam. So component 1, exploring the performing arts. This is where students explore the processes used to create performance. So here it's about giving these students a taste of what it's like to be a working performer or a professional actor, as it were. So the students explore different performance styles, they understand the idea of creative intention and purpose, and they'll see how established practitioners kind of create work and influence what is being performed. And hopefully through that, they'll discover different performance roles and skills as they move through the process. The assessment here is internal. It's marked by their class teacher and then moderated by the exam board, and it's worth 30% of their final grade. And the content beyond that is chosen each year by the teacher based on the students in front of them. So the exam board don't tell us exactly which practitioners or which play texts that we have to study. We have freedom of choice of that, and we change that every year depending on the skills and the taste of the students in front of us. From here, we move into component 2. And here, students are developing their performance techniques and their skills based on pre-existing performances, pre-existing repertoire. So this is inspired by component 1. So they'll look at the different practitioners in component 1, and then in component 2, they'll choose one of the plays from those playwrights or practitioners, and they'll rehearse, and they'll do workshops and vocal rehearsals, etc., and finally perform that piece to an audience. And again, it's an internally assessed unit worth 30% of the final grade. It does have a kind of exam type outcome. It's a final performance that they are graded on rather than a series of kind of workshops. The final component 3, performing to a brief, is the final exam unit, where students pull together everything they've learned across the course and apply that to a performance that they have devised themselves. So they're given a brief by the exam board, maybe an open-ended quote or an intention. And from that, the students create their own work, basically whatever they want it to be, so long as it's kind of linked to that original brief. And it's about kind of seeing how the different practitioners that they've learned across the course can be applied to different contexts. That's a final performance where the students work in groups of between 3 and 7, and they also produce a kind of logbook to support that. That's another final performance exam worth 40% of the total course, and it's the only external unit of the entire course. So how do we break the course down? So in year 10, in those first couple of terms, we're teaching those basic skills, plays and practitioners that we'd be exploring in component 1, giving them access to types of work and types of kind of drama repertoire that maybe they haven't learned or haven't come across before. And that kind of moves us into then exploring that in practical workshops as a part of component 1 assessment in term 3. So inherently, with the workshops and portfolios complete by the end of term 3, that's 30% of the students' course already completed. Then in terms 4 and 5 of year 10, we move on to exploring the specific play text that students can choose for component 2. So these are inspired and linked to the practitioners and the techniques from component 1 and are pre-existing plays written or devised by those practitioners. Then into term 6, that's when the actual component 2 assessment takes place. And like I said, that's a rehearsed final performance where the students are marked on their performance skills. And there is a logbook that supports that process also. That's worth another 30% of the final grade. So by the end of year 10, 60% of the course is complete for the students, or 60% of the assessment is complete for the students. So moving into year 11, that leaves us just with component 3. So terms 1 and 2 about teaching those skills and techniques, reteaching or reintroducing the students to devising, and how that's a completely different process to performing pre-existing repertoire. And then term 3, the exam brief is released. So the students then get to explore that brief, consider what it means to them, consider what creative responses they might have with the final component 3 performance exam and logbook submission taking place in term 4 of year 11. So by the time we get to the end of term 4, the student's assessment is inherently complete. And as they're then moving into the main kind of revision process for their other GCSEs and their other courses, their BTEC Tech Performing Arts course has been completed. So what can the students do, and what can you do to support them if they choose to take this pathway? So firstly, performing arts should not be studied in isolation in the classroom. It is a practical unit, it's a practical exam, a practical subject. And we would like to think that students were being involved in extracurricular performance opportunities, be that within school or in the kind of wide range of opportunities available to them in Bristol. We will take them to the theatre as much as we can. We also bring in a lot of digital theatre for them to access. But you can support by taking your taking your children out to the theatre themselves, and just kind of being involved in that wider performing arts world that's so huge in Bristol. Inherently, that's the course, and that's what the students will be covering. It's a brilliantly fun, accessible, practical course. We moved to the BTEC Tech a couple of years ago because the GCSE is now about 70% theory. We don't feel that's right for a performing arts course. But any questions that you or your children may have, then my email address is there. And obviously you can talk to, your children can talk to their performing arts teachers in lessons, and with Parents' Evening coming up very soon as well. That would also be a wonderful opportunity if you have any specific questions. Thank you.